Okay, hi everybody. It's 7:15 and I am now opening up the Sherborn Conservation Commission meeting of June 26th, 2025 with a roll call of members present. Michael Lesser present. Courtney,
Courtney Eck present.
Terry,
Terry Luskin present.
Jacob.
Jacob Strauss present.
Okay, so we have a quorum and we're opening the meeting. Are there any issues on the agenda? Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
we have, Courtney has to recuse herself, so we need another person.
Did anybody say they weren't going to be here?
No,
Steve is often a little late. I will,
I'll send out to everybody.
yeah. I guess, do you need a quorum? If you open with a quorum, I guess you need to have a quorum there. Okay.
Can I ask why Courtney needs to recuse herself?
She's next door to 15.
I'm your neighbor.
Yeah, but you're a few doors away. We've never really interacted in our lives. Like, is it like, what's the?
Yeah, so my property
Oh,
line
there's Matt. Okay, we're all right.
very
All right,
close.
never mind. Scratch it.
Yeah.
I'm in a butter to your project, so
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know whether you can actually declare you have no interest, but I think abutters. Yeah,
it
this
doesn't matter.
let's put it this way, it keeps it safer and cleaner to recuse yourself versus just say that you have no financial or other kind of interest. Okay, so we're continuing the meeting and now with a roll call presence for Matt.
Matt O'Leary present.
Okay, now we have 5 of us. And do we have any issues with the agenda for under the 48-hour rule?
No,
Okay, hearing none, we will just move ahead. We have 3 minutes before we continue. Let's see, I didn't see a warrant.
there is not.
There was one in the folder.
Was it?
In the fall.
Oh, that is there. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Deborah
yeah, I
put-
see it there. Okay.
We did get a bill from Dan for working in the conservation land. He may submit another one Monday, which is the end of the fiscal year. He may work out there tomorrow and Monday.
Okay. And this is for clearing work at the some of our reservations.
I think he's at Hopestill also, or Leland,
Okay.
one of them.
As part of continuing for the roll call of who's present, Steve, could you please announce that you're present?
Steve Scrimshaw present.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So that's all the scheduled work we had and the other, so that's about 3765, as you could see, and then there's about 180 to $85 of office supplies. Okay, and that budget, the 3765 is probably only about 60% of the budget we have for land management for this year. We might come in under that. Okay. Jumping to the agenda. There's no minutes. The Open Space Committee issue is whether anybody's been reached out to in the open space and whether you, Terry, are interested
So
in helping. Yes.
yes, the people that I apologize for jumping in, but
That's all right.
they do want to schedule a meeting on the second week in July, because that's when Kelly will be back. And Courtney said yes, and Steve said yes. Terry, are you interested in participating in just reading through the open space plan to see if there's anything that you could think of that they might like to
Truthfully,
address or not?
I have 2 other boards
That's
that I'm
fine.
on, so I'm pretty much topped off with
Absolutely.
taking things on at this stage of the game. Thank you.
So this is with the entire open space committee, just for Courtney and Steve. It's just with, there'll be just like 4 or 5 of us.
Okay. Dealt with that 7:20. I am now reopening the continued public hearing for the notice of intent at 15 Green Street to install a pool, patio, retaining wall, and some grading in the buffer zone. And so we're coming back to now we have all the green cards and everything. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
So we can move ahead with that. And okay, there's a set of let's see, has the
So
shared conditions?
You might want to have Jeff present what he has done out there, because we have not had a presentation yet for this project.
Okay, fine.
Happy to do so. By the way, I just got a text message from David Burke. He's the wetland scientist on the project. I don't know if he's in the waiting room. He's part of kind of the presenting team here, but I can jump in and get things going with the plan.
Nobody's in the waiting room right now, so.
Okay. Maybe he's having,
I'll text him. Maybe he's got last time's Zoom or something. Go ahead
Okay.
though, Jeff. Thank you.
sure. Can everybody see the plan?
Yes, before you go on 1 second, Joyce, the draft conditions, has that been sent out to anybody?
I put it in the meeting folder.
Okay,
It
but
should
not,
probably refresh.
okay. No, I just wanted to see whether that was sent out to them. Okay, please proceed. Sorry. Jeff.
Sure. So the proposal is for an in-ground swimming pool. It's an 18 by 36 gunite in-ground swimming pool. You can see here, we've sort of in the design process here, what we feel sort of optimized the location. We've got the 100-foot buffer zone here in red. We've sort of got the pool pulled essentially out of that as far as we could. And what's not quite apparent is this light gray line here is actually the existing septic line. So when we looked at different places to kind of make this work, this was sort of the optimal arrangement from a functional standpoint, and also just sort of like being cognizant and trying to keep as much of this program out of that buffer zone as possible. So we've got the swimming pool here. We've got a patio around it. It actually is going to link back to an existing wood deck that exists currently. So there's a couple steps down. We're on the new pool patio area. There's also there's an existing paver patio here to the right. We're going to kind of make some minor tweaks on that from a functional standpoint. And then there's a proposed stairway that brings us back down from the pool elevation down to a basement walkout. When you zoom out, and I think most of you were at the site, really to make this all work, we need a boulder retaining wall. We need to kind of retain some of this topography here. And so, again, the design sort of plays off from this existing riprap or boulder sloped area. And essentially what we're proposing is an extension of that. And that has kind of worked its way back to the small retaining wall here in this area. So when you kind of look at what's actually in the buffer zone here, it ends up being kind of a little sliver of the pool patio, obviously the boulder retaining wall, and then a little bit of off grading below the wall. And again, just being aware of sort of trying to minimize the impact here. There's no tree removal that we're proposing. We do have an existing condition survey, which I'm happy to look at, but it just so works out that we're preserving all the trees in there. We do have, again, along with this design, a drainage plan here that addresses runoff coming off this side of the pool. We've got a series of area drains, which we're going to collect into a Cultec system, and we can talk more about that. that's kind of a quick overview, and I'm happy to highlight. So we did get some feedback in the form of a memo from Joyce. And those were items that we had worked through with her and actually got onto this updated version of the plan. So I'll kind of just walk through those real quickly. I think one of the key pieces was just understanding where the existing limit of lawn is within all of this. And so it's sort of hard to see, but it winds up being this inner dashed line here that sort of works its way around up behind to the bottom of the existing riprap wall. So in essence, all of this is sort of happening within like what we'd call a previously disturbed or a lawn area. That was one of the things for clarification. To that point, we sort of quantified how much of that existing lawn area, both below the boulder wall and up above the wall between it and the pool, would be sort of turned back or reclaimed, or I guess naturalized, we could call it. So there's around, let's see, 860 feet below the wall, and then another 480 above the wall. So I think we have a total of like around almost like 1,342 square feet here of what we're calling previously disturbed areas that would be sort of put back and reclaimed. Another item that came up on the site walk, which we've updated on the plan, was there's some existing roof drain leaders that are capturing roof runoff that run out to a pipe, and they're just sort of daylighted right here in the lawn. There was a request to sort of stabilize that and put a little riprap stabilization below that. So we're showing that. There's also a detail for that. Joyce had also mentioned putting in the standard sort of boundary limit, I guess, limit of work boundary markers. So we're placing 3 of those along the limit of work here. That's represented by this little square symbol with an X through it. We've got another one here and another one here. And again, there's a detail on this sheet, and we know that we affixed the little placards to that indicating the limit of work and whatever the language is on there. We've got it on the detail. Another item as it relates to drainage and water management was the request to have a separate drawdown pit for the pool. So anytime we have to dewater the pool, we had previously had that sort of tied in with the Cultec drainage system. And now we're showing a separate drainage pit to do that. And that's located over here. And again, that's just labeled, specified for pool drawdown only, not to be done as part of the drainage system. Another comment was dealing with the overflow out of these Cultec chambers. So instead of having a discharge below the boulder wall, we looked at how we could sort of make this work and keep everything up above the existing riprap. It's a little challenge here with the grading, but we've got gravity basically working that, again, in the event of an emergency overflow, if this system ever surcharged, water would percolate back up and out of this pipe here. We've got a detail showing how that works. But essentially, instead of doing that down at the bottom of the wall, we've pulled that up above the wall. And then the last, I think, comment, Joyce, was, or request was to provide some details for some of these items. And so, again, we can look at these in as much detail as folks want, but basically we've got the emergency overflow out of the Cultecs that we talked about. We have a detail showing the riprap stabilization below those existing roof drain leaders. You kindly provided us with the concrete wetland bound limit of work detail, and we've got the language here for how that works. And then again, in terms of proposed plantings, I guess just to kind of maybe round out my presentation is for anything below the wall, all this area that's going to sort of be, I guess, disturbed and put back together. I really like to use that wetland wildlife conservation mix. It's a seed mix that's got ferns and forbs and different things that are suitable for kind of a shady or semi-shade location like this to just sort of like let it renaturalize. You can put it in there and it does very well. It doesn't need a lot of water and maintenance and things like that. up above the wall, we are proposing, these are all natives here. We've got a nice flowering dogwood, some holly, some mountain laurel, and some pepper bush, just some nice native pieces here, again, within the buffer zone here. And also just, functionally along the top of that boulder wall to sort of provide a landscape buffer visually and functionally. And again, the proposed plantings are summarized here with a plant list and then some totals as a mitigation for that. So that's I guess I feel like I've been talking for an hour, but a fairly quick overview of the plan.
Hey, Jeff, the only thing I wanted to clarify too, on the pool drawdown culvert, so the one that's currently shown to the right of the pool.
Yep, this
in
one.
Talking with our, with the pool guy, he would say, hey, can we get it closer to the mechanicals so that we can, use it more easily off of the pump? And so there's room down by the mechanicals, but outside of the buffer zone that we would be considering there. So, just
So
as
down in this area, Jeremy?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So that, again, that's kind of the proposal. Dave, I see that Dave Burke, wetland scientist, has jumped on. I don't know if we want to talk about any of the context itself of the resource area or sort of what his work.
Well, should we pause there and see if the committee has any, because they've stared at this one, they've stared at the previous one. Should we see if anybody has any, wants us to go further before we go further?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Joyce, do you have any comments on all the changes and whether they suffice for your point of view?
They did a great job revising the plan and amending it. I did get one commissioner comment that I hadn't noticed, was that the bounds that we put, the bounds should probably, because that's going to be unmanaged area anyway, the bounds should probably be removed to where the new edge of lawn will be, like from the end of the new retaining wall towards the, right along that new edge.
That
And you can bring it out towards the where the lawn ends on the front also. Just spread them out in that area there, between there and the shed.
okay. So right along that's going to be
Yeah.
be the new lawn line. Okay.
And then the only other comment is, this is my oversight, the detail for your erosion control, because of the huge amount of material you're bringing in, could it be filter mitt and fabric? So it'd be filter mitt backed by the fabric fence.
Yeah, instead of just, I guess this is more like a limit of work fence.
Yeah, that's just like is that the bright orange construction fence?
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
currently right now there's no filter fence.
The filter mitt is awesome because you can just cut it open and take it out. But
Right.
when you have steep slopes and a lot of material up above, we prefer to see, or the commission prefers to see, filter mitt backed by silt fence.
With a silt fence.
Yep.
And okay. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. Any other comments, Joyce?
No. So
Okay.
you're gonna revise the plan to show a new location for the pool.
The boundary markers.
No, the boundary markers and the pool drain.
Yeah, the drawdown.
Thank you. And the erosion control detail.
So I got 3 items, Joyce. Yep.
Okay.
Just so I understand, do those all need to manifest in a new plan that is submitted?
Yeah, we talked about, I didn't have Jeff deliver a hard copy yet, in case we had any comments to add on tonight. So that he could just add them on and just drop a copy off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just administratively, we just need to execute those, drop them off, and that satisfies. Okay.
Yes, we would, if we move
You
ahead.
don't have to
we-
re-notify your butters and do this again, no.
No, we would just make our decision subject to getting the revised plan.
Thank
So
you.
it doesn't delay anything,
Thank you.
at this point. Okay, let's see,
So,
yeah.
I apologize, Jeff, where the erosion control is up above on the lawn around the stockpile area where it goes from the retaining wall up above, that can be just filter mitt.
I see. Good. Yeah. Okay. Because it's all upland. Yep.
Right.
So it just would be the piece below on this lower section below the wall. Okay.
Correct, yes.
Right, essentially, it's the piece in our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so, and that makes sense. Okay, do commission, I sort of have a set of things here, but, the commissioners have some other questions or comments?
I had a question that I'm sure others on the commission will not be surprised at. But in some of the disturbed areas below the wall, there were lots of invasives in there, and I was curious whether you were planning on, after you put the conservation mix down, doing a sweep through to remove some of the invasives in there as new things come up.
Yeah, if anybody points out the invasives, I would love to rip them out. So happy to do it.
Okay, so we'll have a condition about manual removal of invasives, so you could just do that. And you'll get the specialized training and what bittersweet looks like, and whatnot. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the commission? Courtney, Terry, Matt?
Nope, none here. Good job addressing Joyce's concerns.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was pleased, given that there are really no trees being removed, so many native shrubs being put in a really functionally wonderful way, but nicely selected. So that makes me extra happy.
There you go. Okay. Courtney, did you have anything?
No comment.
Okay. So in terms of the conditions for this, what there's going to be, you're bringing in a lot of fill, of which only some of it is in our jurisdiction. But since there'll be some in our jurisdiction, I don't know if you've seen the fill regulation, but it requires certain clean level of clean fill. I mean, I think it's something you would want in any case. So that would be a condition that the fill meet those kind of what's set out in our regulations. And so just to make you aware of that. We've got the move of the markers in. That's what I had here. The management of the restored area down below with the conservation mix. What kind of management plan do we? I can't remember what we have for that particular thing. I guess, Joyce, does it need to get mowed once a year, or?
No, they were just gonna
About the
leave it
woody?
grow,
Just
just
let
let
it
it
go
grow
back.
naturally.
Okay, so there'll be no future management there. Okay. We've got the pool draining. I guess we would have a condition that no runoff from even however you do the pool draining would go into the buffer zone. Will just be a condition, but hopefully you'll just avoid that anyway. But that's something we would standardly have. The erosion, okay. I guess we'll have, I would think I would like to see conditions that go on in perpetuity of just the fact that there should be no signs of erosion into in the buffer zone from either the roof drain or from the stormwater drain, which you shouldn't have anyway. But those would just be kind of conditions we have just to that go on in perpetuity, so that if there's erosion that shows up, that you'll have to address that. But it seems unlikely. With the marker, so you got the invasives, silt fence. And I guess the rest of it is basically as per the plan. We often have, when there's vegetation, we have a survival rate. In this case, I'm sure you're highly motivated to keep those plants to survive. But I guess in this case, do we want to say 75 or 80 or 90%? I don't know what people think. In this case, each case is a little different. Do we want to have at least I guess if we don't, I guess it's these plants are up there and there's quite a number of them. I guess if we don't have a survival rate for these, it could be closed out earlier. Is that the practicality of this? That makes sense, Joyce or Courtney?
I think I would rather have a condition that the lower disturbed area has filled in, has achieved ground, like, full coverage by the time the certificate of compliance is up for discussion.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay. Then what other, just to make sure all the conditions are on the table here. Besides going according to the plan, are there other ones to go over, Joyce? Trying to look at your draft.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Are there any other conditions that I haven't touched on that are clear?
I had one quick question about the drawdown that's moving down to the lower area. How much water gets pumped out of a pool? Is that drawdown tank going to be able to hold? My question is the drawdown tank going to overflow into the buffer zone?
Oh, am I muted? Can't tell.
Nope.
No, you're good,
We
Jeff.
can hear you.
Okay, so I think we might, I don't know, I'm looking to see if we had Bruce McDowell on here, but just again, from experience on doing these, and we kind of checked with the pool company, Joyce, I don't off the top of my head know the number of gallons here, but again, this is just kind of a standard setup and detail for handling like various size pools. And again, the idea is that you've got just good free draining material under there. So I can't, I guess I don't have the volume data on that other than just from experience. It's kind of
is that just for like backwashing something, or is that for
or
actually draining
or
the
like
pool?
or like when you got to bring it down a little bit to say like put the winter cover on, just like various things like that. It's never going to zero in the pool because that's actually not good for the pool to like empty the pool. But it's more like just seasonal kind of maintenance of bringing it up, bringing it down. That's our experience on
Yeah,
that.
it's
And
just the end of season, draw it down a few inches.
yeah.
Is there a certain distance from your well that you want to maintain for that, or did I misunderstand where you were considering moving it to?
Most likely area, we haven't finalized this with the pool company, was probably just to, as the picture is shown here, just to the left and below the mechanical. There you go. So it's
So
away
maybe
from the
right
well.
in there.
But that's
Yeah.
your well. You might think about that proximity, well, to your well. I mean, there shouldn't be that. Yes, because there might be connections there, but it's a little, it's outside of our jurisdiction, but I would say to you to think about that. It's a separate issue. There. And I guess we would have to go, and plus we would have a condition that there should be no signs of erosion from that area into the buffer zone. So in which case you would just have to address it later, if need be. But okay, so I guess, right. I guess if it's not sized to take the whole pool, then I'm not sure what we can do, even within our jurisdiction anyway.
All right, I was just questioning that, and
Yeah.
then lastly, just to go back to, one of the things when we have mitigation in the form of plantings is that we always throw some condition on that says there'll be a
Joyce, could you move a
75%.
little closer to your microphone? It's been hard to hear you on the call here. Thank you.
When we have mitigation, we always have required that there be 75% survival. And so I think we should be consistent and
Sure,
do
no,
that
do
here.
that.
I don't think it's gonna be that difficult for them to do that.
No, I have no problem doing that. I mean, it makes sense to do it since that's what we always do, and sometimes we've even used higher rates for certain things. Okay,
Would that include monitoring?
monitoring.
Well, no, we're not, we don't necessarily need an annual report because we just need the survival after 2 years. And then, by then,
Sorry, could
we
somebody
just-
explain this to me? It's the plants that we're putting
that's-
above, they
Yeah.
just need to have survived to a certain percentage after 2 years? Is that the,
correct, yes.
so the case actually doesn't get closed for 2 years? Is that
2 full growing seasons.
2 growing
Two
seasons? Okay.
growing seasons.
2 full-
Okay,
Mm,
so this fall could be, okay, I got it.
Yeah,
Good.
you get them in.
Get
Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Are there any other conditions or are there any questions that Jeremy, Jeff, Dave have about what we're talking about before I close the hearing? Hearing none, then that we'll prepare something. Then I move to,
Did you ask for any butter comments? I
yes,
just don't know if it's just me here, but
yes, any abutter comments? I forgot when I asked you about any comments and
yeah, I have no comment.
which side of the table you were sitting on. I don't know if there's any other butters there, but I can't see the full list. Okay.
Any noise, so
Okay, then I move to close the hearing on 15 Green Lane.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will have a roll call vote. Michael, aye. Jacob,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Michael, aye. Okay, with one, I guess, recused. If I don't know if you have any discussion amongst the commission at this point, but I would say that before I make a motion, that does anybody have any concerns about permitting this project with all of the conditions?
No.
Okay. Therefore, I move that we approve this project with the subject to the findings that the mitigation proposed and I guess that the proposed mitigation with the plaques and the installation of stormwater chambers and the plantings and the removal of existing lawn to go unmanaged will protect the wetland resources and such that I guess that the project can go forward.
And subject to the receipt of the updated plan with the 2 changes we asked for. I think it's
Yes,
just
there
2.
were 3. There might have been 3.
What was the third?
What was the third? There were the monuments.
Yeah.
There was the
Erosion,
change where the
erosion control detail.
Yeah.
control detail and where the pool is going to overflow.
Okay.
Or not. I think I got them all. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call vote. Michael, I, Matt,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Harry,
Hi.
Jacob.
Aye.
Okay, project's approved. You can, we'll get you out a order of conditions. I don't know, sometime in the next week, Joyce, or
Well,
um,
we have to get signatures, so it will go as quickly as we get signatures.
all right, okay. I have some, I see to the draft, but I have some things that we need to add, a couple of things.
Okay,
Uh,
just for my clarification, so we will return the revised plan in, I guess, electronically and physically, it sounds like. And then whose signatures are on what? Sorry,
Oh, we have
first
to,
timer.
we have to actually, the permit that we just approved, we have
Okay.
to physically sign a piece of paper.
Oh, the commissioner, the committee members.
Right, so we just
Okay,
have
got it.
four of us to sign
you.
it. And then once that's done, there is a 10-day appeal period that anybody could file an appeal. And after that 10-day period, you're free to begin your work as per the order of conditions in terms of whatever work schedule. like-
Okay, so we need to wait for signatures plus 10 days, then go.
Right.
Okay,
And then there's the whatever meetings, as in the order of conditions, a scheduled meeting to go over the erosion control and such as that, so that everything's in place. Okay, any other questions from anybody?
You just remind me, how do we receive the final order of conditions? Will that get emailed, or how do we get that, and how do we know when it's ready?
Yeah, so when it's ready, the town will record the order. And then we will distribute the signed copies to Jeremy and to the other consultants when
Thank you.
they're distributed. And I envision it will be next week. It's gonna depend on how available commission members are.
Thank you.
Hmm.
and Michael, you mentioned another meeting around erosion control. Sorry, you
Oh,
confused
no,
me there.
that's a field meeting that you have with Joyce. It's not with us. There's.
Okay,
Before
and
you
we'll know
start
when to
work-
do that.
Before
It's in-
it's all outlined in the order of conditions, and before you start work, you will have a site meeting after you install the erosion control, just to make sure everybody's on the same page
Thank you.
with physically how the work is gonna be done out there.
Okay, thanks.
Right. That's the biggest protection is during construction. A lot of the major issues often during construction, and therefore the erosion control.
Do
is
you have
one of them.
do you have your site contractor on board yet?
Yes,
Okay, because that meeting typically is with them at their convenience, but with them.
but not until you've
Also-
issued the permit and we put in the
We have
erosion
to issue
control.
the permit,
Okay.
you're gonna get the erosion control staked out and installed, and then
Yep.
and then we'll have the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's just with Joyce.
Not gonna hold you up.
Yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay. In that case, we're gonna move on. Sorry for the delay, Bob, if you're still there in Deshang. I'm reopening the continued hearing for the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 168 Woodland Street. Okay, we'll open it up there. I don't know whether in the end, Joyce, you just want to present things that.
We can tag team it with Deshang.
Well,
Deshang and I met out on site and walked the wetland line in 168 Woodland Street, and we made a couple of small adjustments. He has revised the plan, and if someone would like to share that, Deshang can go over what it looks like now.
okay.
Joyce, you want to go over or you want me to go over?
Sure. So we started on. We have one wetland line that runs somewhat off the property in that area that sets up the buffer zones. So that area connected all the way, went all the way around. And we adjusted the flagging in this area here. This was previously noted as an isolated wetland, but there really is a connection that goes through here, right where he's got his thumb. So we've got a connection there. We added a little loop of wetlands in that area there. Those were additional flags. And then we went around that potential vernal pool. There is no connection on the backside of that. We looked there very thoroughly, and there is no connection on that side. And then we examined the flags on the upper end. So all of the flags that are on this plan reflect our discussions out in the field. The red ones were original flags that have been removed, and then he's revised his buffer zones to reflect that. He's also taken off any reference to riparian area yet on this because there is no, we haven't established that yet. And then DEP did send out a very thorough review letter, but we really had already Deshang had already responded to all of those questions with the review. He forwarded to the circuit rider, and she basically said that was, that she had it. So I think that's it. Deshang, can you think of anything else that?
So I kept the deleted flags here. It's just for tonight. If everything is good, I guess I'm going to take it off for printing out for your record. So otherwise we'll confuse people.
Right.
That's fine. Yep. And you're gonna have the surveyor sign this one?
They didn't do it because so it's not final. So
When, no, the final plan.
yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so the changes to this plan are gonna be removing the old flags that have been changed. And there's there's some riparian note here that has to get removed.
What did you add along the air?
We haven't get time really. The area is kind of flooded by the beaver dam, so we cannot identify the real channel at this moment. If the summer get dry, and so otherwise we will have to wait. So.
But on the plan itself, I see it in our draft, in our order of resource delineation.
I made a note that says it's not.
Right, yeah, we
But
added a note.
I would still like it to be on the plan
Well, it
Is
says
it-
right there, it's not defined.
where,
It's backed up, by beaver dam and then not delineated.
delineate. Okay, fine. I see now what you mean. Okay. So do we have any? Oh, the FEMA, I guess the FEMA stuff is separate from us.
Yes. Well,
Um,
it's not separate from us, but it's not. They'll have to deal with it when they, if they go forward
Right,
with
it's not
anything
that,
if that involves that area.
right, we're not commenting on that area, on that on that line. Okay, are there any other changes to the plan that he needs to do for the final version besides signing it and removing the flags, and what else?
I believe that's it.
Was
Okay.
was there something in some of the correspondence about we didn't know if there was any isolated land subject to flooding on the property or not, or was that for a different project?
No, that was this one, because originally that area had been considered isolated. He had it cut off from the adjacent BVW, but because there is actually a connection, that's not an issue anymore.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And at the end, okay. So you don't need I guess it doesn't make a difference that there's not another flag at the very right side there after 37. I guess those topo lines are getting higher. Okay.
Oh, yeah, they ended it before.
Yeah. But I guess it's, right. I'm just trying to decide whether that makes a difference of, what would be there, but,
Yeah, 50-foot buffer is already here, so it's not going to be any
right, yeah, okay.
impact.
Okay, well, we'll see that, hopefully that won't come up as an issue. Okay, does there, any of the commissioners have any questions? Or
I
points?
have a little one, because now the sort of right side portion is connected. Does that mean the language about potential vernal pool not verified should just drop out?
No, because there is actually a potential vernal pool in there. Not that I mean, it's just a lovely note. We don't have a vernal pool bylaw. It's so, but it is actually a potential vernal pool.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking even last time when we were looking at it. For the work on 168 Woodland.
Actually, I guess I still have a question about land subject to flooding. If there, but I don't know if this matters or not. But if there was an area in the what's now BVW that had a different boundary, because it wouldn't necessarily have the same boundary if there was such a thing, right? Or
Say that again.
So it still could be that there's land subject to flood. I haven't seen the site, so I don't know if this is even plausible or not. But it still could be that there's land subject to flooding that would have a different outline border than the BVW boundary, and this is only defining the BVW border, correct?
So you're more apt to have a different outline for well, this is land maybe land subject to flooding anyway, but isolated land subject to flooding is what he was
Yeah.
referring to before, where water gets trapped and fills up. But again, that's the water is all flowing out, so it's going to get to a certain elevation and then just go out the back.
So you see it saying land
Okay.
subject to flooding would always be not isolated, just land subject to flooding would always be within the bounds of the BVW.
Or
Would it be bigger?
floodplain,
What's that?
or floodplain. But yes, so it could be. We don't see any evidence of land. There's no isolated land subject to flooding attached to this because it's not an isolated
Oh, I'm
area.
just talking about connected land. I mean, if it was, yeah, I have to go back and read what it means to be
Well,
land.
this is what it is, and so this is the plan that's before you. We talking about what it could be and might be is probably not.
Oh, I'm just wondering, just in general, whether there's ever, when we're doing this kind of work, whether we have to check separately.
I'm just asking. I mean, I'm just asking if there's any need to note that if there's other kinds of wetlands, we didn't delineate them on this plan or something. That's the only question I'm asking. And I know we have one of those for the riverfront, which seems to be clearly marked, but it sounds like we don't need any others.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so you're saying we don't have to mark whether it could be land subject to flooding. Okay, we can deal with that separately for the future. Okay, any other questions from commissioners or from the public? Does anybody wants to say, just speak up since I can't see everybody. Okay. Is there? Okay, so does anybody have any problems with approving this this delineation? Okay, hearing none, I move that we approve this resource area delineation, which covers BVW, but does not cover bank or riverfront area.
And
Did I hear a second?
We have to move to close the hearing first, or is that only for NOIs?
That's correct, Jacob.
Thank you, Jacob.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just asking questions.
No, yeah, something.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. I withdraw that motion. And I move to close the hearing.
Second,
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Terry,
Hi.
Courtney,
aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Okay, hearing closed. I move to approve the resource area delineation as presented, which covers the bordering vegetated wetlands, but does not cover other resource areas such as bank and riverfront area.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Terry,
Hi.
Courtney,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Okay. It is completed, Deshang, and you could stop sharing, or I could stop sharing you, but okay. Let's see, moving on our agenda, do you have any site issues?
No site issues.
Okay.
That would be of any interest to anyone.
Okay, that's mysterious.
Well,
okay.
out at Coolidge Crossing, they started drilling wells out there. It's outside of jurisdiction. They've also done a lot of earthwork around the house. And that is also outside of jurisdiction, but very close. So I don't know who's doing the work, and I'm trying to track that down just to advise them that they might be a little close.
Okay. It's off the point a bit, but I'll just say it's interesting that the DEP is asking them to drill wells, even though the goal is to connect to a neighboring town for water supply, but it's because it's an interbasin transmission from another town, transfer from another town to Sherborn. They have to show that there's not enough water here. But it's an interesting issue that they require something that they don't expect to do. Okay. We have administrative approvals. We have 2 of them. Were they approved?
Yes.
Okay, we have 50 Hunting Lane for a garage addition and 100 South Main Street for a barn. Okay, we did the warrant. We have no minutes. Land management is going on. Is there nothing to report on land management planning?
No, we did that already with the invoices.
Okay, no, I'm just talking about whether there's any progress. We still have to come up with a budget for our land management, a multi-year budget. Okay. The tree mitigation, we're not ready to do that yet. I guess we're going to try to get to collect information so we can be a little bit more, see what other towns are doing.
So I have been meeting with other members of the land use departments to try and prepare regulations for this town stormwater bylaw. State is requiring them to put together regulations because they haven't yet. So that's one of the things we're doing. It's not going to capture all the things that we talked about, but it's going to be a step towards a step in the right direction. As far as being able to have something that allows us to provide some kind of stormwater mitigation for large projects.
Okay, I guess since it's not fully on the agenda, we'll talk more about that and why we can't get what we want in there. That would help us, or whether we have to do some changes for us. Okay. Also remember that our next commission meeting is July 17th. Does that still work, Joyce, for all the whatever permitting we have to do?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're shifting back to the 1st and Then we're shifting back to the first and third Thursdays. Just remember that. So in August, we're going to be doing the 7th and the 21st. Back the way we used to do things. So just want to make sure everybody gets their calendars right, that the change that we're going forward for August, September onward is that. But otherwise, we'll be meeting in 3 weeks. And then there'll be another 3 weeks before after that. Okay. Anything else from anybody that I missed? Okay. In which case, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I. Jacob.
Aye.
Terry.
Hi.
Matt.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Courtney.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:11.